Last summer I was in a big explosion and I was traumatized very much.
That was the Oslo?
Yeah,
bombing, was it?
the Oslo bombing, yeah.
Were you actually, did you feel the blast yourself, or was it just that you saw people quite close who...
I actually was quite in the middle of it. I was working just a block or two down, and I got my whole window over me and my colleague, and got splints all over the body, and we had to go out into the chaos that were outside, and went to the emergency and got sewn together and sent back home to Porsgrunn. And on Monday I was back at work to see how it was there, and it didn't go so well.
So what's your job? What do you do for a living?
I'm a film editor, and what I was doing at the time was a TV show that lasts for 23 minutes, and you have to know this plot from beginning to end. You have to concentrate on that time. And after the accident, I could just get 5 minutes at a time. I couldn't see the whole issue anymore. I couldn't see the whole.
And had you ever had any problems with your visual system before? Had everything been fine before?
No problem.
And no problems with reading in school or anything?
No, none whatsoever.
So everything had apparently been absolutely straightforward for you?
Yeah.
So that was a big shock?
Yeah.
So how long ago was that now?
It's 8 months now.
8 months. And have you been able to work since then?
No.
Just make me a nice copy of that design.
Yeah, while looking at it.
While you're looking at it, yes. Yeah, well done. Yeah. Now, the reason I asked you to copy that was it's very good at telling us what your learning style is. Now, generally, you're somebody who's very creative. You're in a creative profession. And what we would expect from somebody who's creative is they'd see the big picture. Yeah. And they'd see the patterns first. So what I would have expected you to do, certainly before you were traumatised, would be to have seen the pattern. So I would have expected you to have drawn the rectangle first of all, and then seen the way the diagonal lines crossed in the centre, and then the horizontal and vertical lines, because your perception would have been as the image as a whole. And you actually said to me that I can't see the big picture now, and this is an indication of how you're not seeing the big picture. You've done a beautiful copy of the design, but you've done it section by section. Now, I don't think that is your natural way of doing things. I think that's being forced on you by the fact that the two halves of your brain aren't working that well together anymore, and your eyes aren't able to perceive the whole picture. You're seeing it in bits. Yeah. You're doing it well.
Yeah, but that's what I felt when I saw it. I could only take a small amount at a time.
Yes, yes. You've sort of like tunnel vision. Yeah. So we need to change that, obviously, if you're going to get back into your profession. What I'm trying to find out with this test is whether your two ears are working together. Yeah. We've been looking at the two eyes and finding that you're just seeing things a bit at a time. And I want to know whether your two ears whether your brain is able to put together the information that it's receiving from both ears properly. I'm sure it would have been able to do so before you had the trauma. But that may have been affected. And what's going to happen in this particular test is that you're going to hear a lady saying some numbers. Yeah. And all I want you to do is tell me the numbers that you hear.
2, 6, 9, 4.
That's very interesting. Two things. One is you're not getting most of them right. So that tells us that your speed of processing is too slow to pick all those numbers up. So that tells us that you do have a problem with auditory integration, which I would expect, and which explains why at the moment you're finding it difficult to find those words. Yeah. The second thing I've noticed is that when you are getting them right, or certainly in all of the items, the more difficult items, you're leading with your left ear. Yeah. And I think the trauma has caused you to become left ear dominant. That's another thing that very often happens with trauma. The problem with that is it means that incoming auditory information is taken up, first of all, to the right-hand side of your brain. So everything is processed first from the emotional point of view. Yeah. Do you find that? Yeah. And, of course, you may then overreact. You may then never really transfer it to the left-hand side to be carefully considered. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't sometimes overreact to what people say to you, because you're just processing the emotion and you're not actually really listening to what they say. And of course that's quite stressful. Yeah. And it may be better on some days than others, but that again is a very, very typical response to trauma, to become left ear dominant. Okay. And one of the things we have to do on edutherapy is to get that sorted out. Can you see that there's some symbols at the top here? Yeah. And can you see we've got a whole load of rows here with a symbol? What I want you to do is very quickly, once I say go, put the number which corresponds to each symbol down. And I'm going to give you a practice. Okay, so I want you to go as fast as you can when I say go, from there to there, and then stop. So ready?
Stop.
Yeah. Ready? Get set. Go.
This is the haunted cave. See the phantoms appear. Now put the phantom back to where you saw it. Click on a phantom and drag it to the correct position. Do it before the candle burns out. Good. Now you'll see more phantoms. Thank you for visiting the haunted cave.
Well done.
We hope you had fun.
So now we can find out how you got on. How did it feel doing that? Was it quite stressful?
Frustrating.
Yeah. And that's the sort of thing that you should be able to do really well, isn't it? It's very much the sort of thing that you need to be doing. Don't worry, because we sort this out. I'm not expecting it to be a problem in the long term. Was that the most difficult thing you've had to do?
I think it's just a build-up.
This is the average level here. At the moment, you're just below the average band, which wouldn't be too bad for most people, but for the sort of job you're doing, I mean, you would have been right at the top here. That's something you would have been really good at, so it's really frustrating at the moment. Yeah. The reason we do these tests is because they're the tests we use to show progress, because we expect to see progress. So this is explaining why you've got the difficulties. You respond with maximum stress on a certain area. The programme then, every second after that, the programme is going to see if it can find out where the causative factors are and reduce the stress on everything within that circuit.
Jeg føler jo at det har blitt en mye mer ro i hele kroppen. Før var jeg veldig ukonsentrert og hadde mye flashback og sånne indre sprengninger da, fra etter eksplosjonen. Disse har jo blitt helt borte. Og jeg har mye lettere humør, mye bedre humør. Og jeg har, etter et par måneder så har jeg klart å være tilbake igjen i jobb. Så jeg jobbet 2 uker med et klippeprosjekt i Oslo, på et annet sted enn der jeg var, men det var jo likevel en stor utfordring å være tilbake i Oslo og gjøre det. Og det føltes veldig bra. Men jeg får fortsatt noen varseltanker når jeg skal inn til Oslo, hvor jeg tenker på hvor er jeg i forhold til hvor det smalt, og hvor er det trygt, og hvor er det sikkert, og at jeg går en sånn runde internt i hodet mitt, da. Men etter de 2 ukene så har jeg hatt pause igjen. Men nå er jeg på utkikk etter jobb igjen, arbeidssøkende. For første gang på snart 1,5 år siden det skjedde. Siden har jeg reist med venninner eller alene både til Tyskland og Australia, Spania og Hellas. Men det var mye... Det var mye mindre skummelt å sette seg på flyet til Australia enn det var å sette seg på bussen inn til Oslo. Men nå er det ikke så skummelt å ta bussen inn til Oslo heller.
Anett's doing very much better, as you can tell just by looking at her. Her visual functioning is very much better. She's now clearly left eye dominant in the distance, but she still doesn't have an eye dominance at near point, which is, I think, something which normally you would say was a problem. But for her, it's part of her gifts because she has the amazing ability to look at 2 screens at the same time as a film editor. And having no eye dominance at near point is actually actively beneficial for her. So it's interesting that has stayed, and I think it will stay because she needs it. But in all of the tests we've done, she's got better. She's not as stressed. She's performing much better. She's not put off by background noise now. Her speed of processing is better. Her balance is better. So basically, she's improved in all of the tests we've done. There are some things where she could be even better, I think.